Hello, and welcome to our English grammar lesson on comparative and superlative adjectives. In this video, you will learn how to use these adjectives to compare things and people. Let's start with comparative adjectives. We use comparative adjectives to compare two things or people. For example, if we have two apples, one bigger than the other, we can say, this apple is bigger than that apple. To form the comparative for adjectives with one syllable, we usually add er to the end of the adjective. We can also add than. So big becomes bigger. This apple is bigger than that apple. Here's a table showing some common, regular comparatives with one syllable. Big, bigger, small, smaller, tall, taller, short, shorter, fast, faster, slow, slower, happy, happier, sad, sadder. Here are some example sentences using these comparative adjectives. This box is bigger than that one. My new apartment is smaller than my old one. The red shirt is shorter than the blue one. She runs faster than I do. The traffic today is moving slower than usual. I feel happier when I'm with my friends. For adjectives that end with the letter Y, we usually form the comparative by changing the Y to I and adding er to the end of the adjective. Here are some examples. Happy, happier. Easy, easier. Busy, busier. Funny, funnier. Here are some example sentences using these comparative forms. I feel happier when I'm with my friends. This test is easier than the last one. She is busier than her brother. He is funnier than his sister. For adjectives with more than two syllables, we usually form the comparative by adding the word more or less before the adjective. For example, interesting, more interesting. Beautiful, more beautiful. Comfortable, less comfortable. Expensive, less expensive. Here are some example sentences using these comparative forms. This book is more interesting than that one. This chair is less comfortable than that one. This car is less expensive than that one. Now let's study superlative adjectives. We use superlative adjectives to compare more than two things or people. For example, if we have 3 dogs, one small, one medium-sized, and one large, we can say this dog is the biggest. Biggest. To form the superlative with one-syllable adjectives, we usually add est to the end of the adjective. So big becomes biggest. Big, biggest. Small, smallest. Tall, tallest. Fast, fastest. Here are some example sentences using the superlative adjectives from the table. This is the biggest pizza I've ever seen. That is the smallest dog in the park. He is the tallest person in his family. This is the shortest route to the beach. She is the fastest runner on her team. For adjectives that end with the letter Y, we usually form the superlative by changing Y to I and adding est to the end of the adjective. For example, happy, happiest. Easy, easiest. Busy, busiest. Funny, funniest. Here are some example sentences using these superlative forms. This is the happiest day of my life. This is the easiest test I've ever taken. This is the busiest time of the year for me. He is the funniest person I know. There are some common irregular comparatives and superlatives that you should know. For example, good becomes better in the comparative and best in the superlative. Bad becomes worse in the comparative and worst in the superlative. For adjectives with more than one syllable, except for those that end with Y, we usually form the superlative by adding the word most or least before the adjective. For example, interesting, most interesting. Beautiful, most beautiful. Comfortable, least comfortable. Expensive, least expensive. Here are some example sentences using these superlative forms. This is the most interesting book I've ever read. She is the most beautiful girl in her class. This is the least comfortable chair in the room. This is the least expensive car on the lot. That's it for our lesson on comparative and superlative adjectives. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to practice using these adjectives in your own sentences. I'll see you in the next video.